All right, let's talk about a corporate rescue that looked perfect on paper. I mean, absolutely perfect. But then it all fell apart. We're diving into the story of Ritzy Chemicals, a case where everyone said yes, but a judge still said no way. So what happened here? Let's get into it. So here's the big question that sits at the heart of this whole thing. How on earth can a rescue plan, one that gets a 100% yes vote from every single creditor, get shut down by a court? I mean, think about it. The people who are owed money all agree on a path forward. That should be a done deal, right? A total slam dunk. Well, for Ritzy Chemicals, it turns out that perfect agreement was actually just the start of a much bigger problem. Okay, so who are the players here? On one side, you've got Ritzy Chemicals, a company in some serious trouble. And on the other, you've got the law itself, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, or the IBC. Now, this law is specifically designed to save companies just like this one. What should have been a pretty standard, by-the-book rescue, well, it turned into something else entirely. Something that teaches us a whole lot about why you can't cut corners. So first, let's look at this whole situation from the point of view of the professionals and the creditors. You know, the people on the ground who put this whole plan together. From where they stood, they had a solid plan and a perfect result. 100%. You really can't argue with a number like that. The committee of creditors, that's the group of people who are owed money and basically hold the company's fate in their hands, they all unanimously voted yes on the rescue plan submitted by a company called Sandeep Enterprise. On the surface, this is as good as it gets. And the process they followed, it looked totally by the book. They brought in an insolvency expert, a resolution professional named Mr. Parminder Singh Buller, to run the show. And he did a great job, drumming up a ton of interest, 58 potential buyers. He whittled that down to 2 final plans, and the creditors chose Sandeep Enterprise. It looked like every I was dotted and every T was crossed. So if you were the resolution professional, you'd probably thinking, my job here is done. You know, he guided the process, he got that incredible 100% agreement. All that was left was getting the court's final stamp of approval. Just a formality, right? Well, not so fast. Yeah, it turns out it was anything but a formality. Now, let's switch perspectives. We're going to look at this through the judge's eyes and see how this supposedly perfect plan started to completely fall apart under scrutiny. And boom, here it is, the first giant red flag that the court noticed. The rescue plan on the table was worth about 1.15 crore rupees. Okay, but if you just sold off everything the company owned, its assets, its equipment, the whole shebang, what we call the liquidation value, you'd get almost 11 crore rupees. That's a huge difference. So the judge is thinking, wait a minute, why would anyone agree to a deal that's worth nearly 10 times less than just selling the company for parts? It just doesn't add up. To put that into perspective, this plan was asking creditors to take a 90% haircut, a 90% loss. They were owed over 30 crore rupees, and they were agreeing to walk away with just over 1 crore. For the court, this wasn't just a bad deal. It was a sign that something was seriously wrong with how this whole process was being handled. Now, to get the next piece of the puzzle, you need to understand this legal term, avoidance transactions. These are basically shady deals that happen right before a company goes under. The goal is to move assets out of the company so that creditors can't get their hands on them. A huge part of the resolution professional's job is to act like a detective and hunt these down to bring that value back. And this is where that picture-perfect process just completely crumbles. The law couldn't be clearer on this. The RP has to dig for these potential hidden assets and, crucially, tell the creditors what he finds before they cast their vote. But that's not what happened here. Nope. The RP filed the paperwork to look for this stuff after the creditors had already voted yes. The creditors were making a huge decision, completely in the dark about the company's real potential value. And believe it or not, it gets even worse. The plan they all approved had this clause in it. It said that if they did recover any of that hidden money, it would be split 50-50, half for the creditors and half for the new owner, Sandeep Enterprise. The court saw that and immediately said, no way, that's illegal. Any money recovered belongs to Ritzy Chemicals, period. It has to be used to pay off the company's debts, not to line the pockets of the new buyer. So after digging into all of this, the court's finding was pretty harsh, but totally understandable. They stated, in no uncertain terms, that this whole rescue process was not transparent and it wasn't fair. The very foundations of the process were broken. So where does that leave everyone? Let's get to the final verdict and talk about the really important lesson this case teaches all of us, about why having a judge oversee these things is so critical.
The court didn't mess around. The orders were swift and decisive. First, that resolution plan, the one with 100% approval, gone. Totally rejected. Second, the resolution professional, Mr. Buller, was removed from the case for his failures. And third, they appointed a brand new professional to start the entire process over, from square one.
And this put Ritzy Chemicals on a very tight deadline. The court basically started a 120-day countdown. Find a new plan, one that's actually legal and fair, or that's it. The company gets liquidated, sold off for parts, and it's all over. The stakes could not have been higher. So what's the big takeaway from all this? The Ritzy Chemicals story is a powerful reminder that just because everyone agrees on something doesn't mean it's right or legal. A court's job isn't just to be a rubber stamp, even with a 100% vote. It's to be a safeguard, to make sure the process is fair, that the value of the company is maximized for everyone involved, and that the rules are actually followed. It shows you that sometimes the most critical function of the law is to step in and protect people, even from a deal they all seem to want.